If you watched my first A-Team breakdown, you know I love digging into the hidden details, production goose, and wild trivia that made this show legendary. Well, we're going deeper. Today we're winding the next 4 episodes with corrupt cops, biker gangs, Vegas mobsters, and their New York counterparts. We're talking cast connections you missed, production secrets, and those iconic moments that define the 80s. So grab some fruit roll-ups, and let's rewind. A small and deadly war opens as the police is pulling over Inspector Mahoney, who is looking to turn them in. They threaten him with violence to him and his family. You may recognize Captain Stark here, Jack King, with over 100 credits. And here's the kicker. He'll play 3 different A-Team characters. This role, another in Season 2, and a 6-episode run as General Fulbright in Season 4. The other cop is Collins, played by Dean Stockwell, with over 200 credits. Quantum Leap, Jag. And if you watch our first video, he was Chip Kane in Beverly Hills Cop 2, another Beverly Hills Cop connection. Hannibal meets Mahoney in a bar. Full disguise, Irish accent, the works. The team doesn't work for cops, but Mahoney needs confessions, and the A-Team needs a payday. Face and Amy pose as exterminators at the police station. They plant real bugs so they can plant their bugs. And watch this, that van they arrived in, gone when Collins shows up. Continuity magic. They think fast, distract Stark, and quickly leave the locker room. Face brings Murdock from the hospital, faking TB. Of course, they succeed. The bugs work perfectly. They catch the corrupt cops discussing their next hit. The team races to the location, posing as police officers to save the shop owner. Colin takes out who he thinks is the target. The A-Team springs their trap, letting them go with a message for Stark. Still listening in while Stark is with his crew in a cafe, Hannibal calls him, making him paranoid about how many bugs they planted. Stark goes to his girlfriend's place. Murdock shows up with flowers. Then Hannibal calls and ruins his fun. He does, however, agree to meet the mystery man at a remote location. BA added some new lights to the van. Stark tried to spring a trap, but the team, thinking several steps ahead, captured his sentries while Hannibal was talking to Stark. And Stark almost seemed impressed by this. The bugs have been found, but the team, thinking ahead, used Amy to lure the ladies' man Collins into a trap. Stark, however, had Collins bugged, and tries to surprise the team at Oceanside Amusement Park. Now, if this park looks familiar, it's because it's actually Six Flags Magic Mountain in Valencia, California. The same location used in 1983's National Lampoon's Vacation as Wally World. Collins arrives at that amusement park with the evidence and meets the team in a stand that Stark and the others absolutely decimate. Of course, the A-Team drops from the rafters unscathed, and they all try to escape. One even by car, and they all fail miserably. Now back at the lounge, the A-Team returned most of Mahoney's money. They only took what they needed and made a hasty exit as the MPs closed in. That was A Small and Deadly War, an explosion-free episode that was missing the assembly montage. They rely more on their wits than their power. Overall, I give this one 8 vans. Now, let's rewind to Black Day at Bad Rock, where we go from corrupt cops to a biker gang out for revenge. The episode begins with the van speeding towards a town called Bad Rock, and we see a rarity here, where a team member, BA, has been shot. Notice the goof here, though. Hannibal checks his watch twice. The first time it's there, the second it's not. But like a pro, he just keeps going. They carry BA to the doctor's house and meet Dr. Sullivan. She chides them and doesn't believe them, informing him of his rare blood type. Dr. Sullivan, by the way, is played by Trisha O'Neill, mostly known for guest spots, but here's the kicker. She reprises this role in Season 2. Hannibal calls Amy and gives her a code phrase to pass to Murdock, while Dr. Sullivan calls the sheriff, who then makes his way to her office. Meanwhile, Hannibal is asking Dr. Sullivan not to tell anyone. He finds out she also served in Vietnam. Some romantic tension builds, and the sheriff arrives. They're taken back to the sheriff's office, fingerprinted and secured in cells. Sheriff Thompson, by the way, is played by Ed Lauder, with over 200 credits across 4 decades. He's also in another episode of the A-Team, ironically, this same one Trisha O'Neill returns in Season 2. He also played Captain Canower in the original Longest Yard in 1974, and returned in the 2005 remake, albeit in a different role. Murdock escapes to awaiting Amy, and they speed off. However, almost too quickly, the sheriff is notified that the army is on the way to claim the A-Team. Sonny, the other prisoner, is still saying his gang will be coming back to break him out. The sheriff is overconfident that won't happen, and Hannibal tries to talk some sense into him. Shortly thereafter, Hannibal hides in his cell, faking an escape. When the sheriff leaves, he comes out of hiding and is now truly free, and secures the sheriff and deputy in one of the now vacant cells. On the way to Bedrock, Murdock reveals what the code phrase means. They arrive and begin a transfusion as Murdock has the same blood type. They begin leaving with BA as Hannibal says his goodbyes to the doctor, eventually securing her in the closet. Leaving town, they drive by the diner the bikers are at and realize they need to act. They slow down the approach of the bikers, first by taunting them, and then hoisting their bikes by a crane, operated by Murdock, heading back to town. Oh, before I forget, Sonny is played by Sid Haig, who is mostly typecast in horror films or as a villain, across 150 TV shows and B-budget movies. Arriving back in town, they free the sheriff and let him know trouble's on the way. The sheriff is reluctant at first, but eventually agrees to the plan, and they dress up the vacant office across the street as the sheriff's office has set up a trap. The gang rolls into town, and quickly, the A-Team begins thinning out the numbers by trapping them or luring them into different situations, eventually capturing all of them, and eventually leaving them in the sheriff's awaiting hands. They leave town just as the army arrives. Overall, this was one of the better first season episodes. Outnumbered and undersupplied, the team still found a way to come out on top. 9 vans on this one, and now we go from the dirt and dust of the small mountain town to the glitz of Las Vegas. We'll rewind next to The Rabbit Who Ate Las Vegas. This one starts with 2 college girls waiting for a bus. Set up by Mr. Lee, the bus is empty. He picks up BA next, then drives to a warehouse where Face and Amy are waiting. The girls tell the team about the professor who may have developed a system to beat casinos and then disappeared. They suspect a hood named Gianni Christian, a casino owner in Las Vegas, is involved. Murdock joins them on the way to Vegas and the Xanadu Hotel, while Face sets up a ploy for Hannibal as Tony Vincent, a big shot out of Atlantic City. There's some good B-roll here of early 80s Las Vegas. The neon lights, the classic casinos, the whole vibe. The team arrives at the Xanadu Hotel in character. Of course, no reservation. Hannibal makes the desk clerk read a card from Gianni. That gets its attention real quick, and they're upgraded to the Elvis Presley suite. The desk clerk contacts Mr. Martell, who immediately puts a tap on the phone line in the suite. Martell is played by Richard Romanus, and here's the wild part. He was heavily considered for Michael Corleone in The Godfather. Yeah, that role. He didn't get it, but he did build a career playing Italian and gangster characters, including in another A-Team episode, 2 MacGyver episodes, and The Sopranos. The team anticipated the wiretap. They act as federal agents on a hit squad. They send Ellie, one of Gianni's girls, to the suite, just as Hannibal requested. They make the suite look like a command center. Just as she enters, Hannibal says he's a special agent who's not here for her, but wants her to give up information on Gianni. Martell is playing the wiretaps for Gianni. Gianni orders him to shut off the hospitality and bring Hannibal up. Face and Amy, meanwhile, are set up across the way as Hannibal is brought up to meet Christian. He keeps going with the federal agent ploy. Gianni lets it slip that he did do the hits, but Hannibal knows all his movements and threatens him, including an intentionally missed shot by Face from across the way. Hannibal tells him he's here for the professor and use him for his own gain. While BA and Face await in the van, they bring the professor to meet and leave with Mr. Vincent. Just then, Gianni falls from the window and into the water, several stories below. As the team is leaving Las Vegas, they hear on the radio about the demise of Gianni Christian, and the team is framed for the murder. A police chase ensues, and the team evades. Keep an eye on the police car during the chase. Notice it keeps changing models. The team realizes it's only a matter of time before Lynch is on them, and Martell puts a $100,000 bounty on their heads. Meanwhile, they hide out at a small hotel, and the professor fills them in on what happened and why Martell was questioning him. The news releases a photo of Hannibal and announces the $100,000 bounty. They realize their only way out is finding out who actually killed Gianni. The professor, played by Terry McGovern, with over 150 credits, mostly had guest starring roles in his career with some bit parts in movies like 1987's Inner Space, but also found extensive work in cartoon and video game voiceovers. Back in Martell's office, and yeah, here comes a cringe moment. Hannibal in blackface as a room service attendant. Keep in mind this was 1983. And what flew on network television then wouldn't even make it past a pitch today. It might be uncomfortable to watch for some, but it's part of the show's history, and later in the episode, BA has a backhanded comment about it. They escape with Martell to the secret elevator, duping his underlings into thinking they're going to the roof, but instead they go to the garage. The team records Martell saying he did throw Gianni out the window and threatened to release the recording they just made. While Murdock takes the professor back to the roof, the team speeds away in Gianni's limo, and Murdock takes off in that 1980 Bell 206B with the professor. The team is pursued and eventually makes it out of town. Hey, look! That diner, it's the same from the last episode. Murdock chases down the goons chasing them and runs the car off the road with the chopper. Meanwhile, the team finds out the limo contains a small armory. Hannibal uses it to his advantage and disables the vehicle. I mean, really disables it. Note the careful use of voiceover here is supposedly from the occupants of the vehicle, asking so if they're okay. Again, no body count from the A-team. The team makes it out of Vegas. Amy uses it to her advantage, writing a story on it. Martell escaped, but probably won't be that way for long. Lots of disguises and subterfuge in this one. I give it 9 bands. And it looks like we have just enough tape left to rewind one more time. We're going from the glitz of Vegas to the gritty streets of New York, where the A-team faces another mission, saving a neighborhood from a gang that won't stop till everyone's gone. Let's see the out-of-towners. We're heading to New York City, where the gangsters are shaking down shop owners and destroying a kid's shoe stand. Classic protection racket setup. BA is ready to fly this time, as long as Murdock's not piloting. No respect, I tell you, no respect. Hannibal's got a plan, though. He slips BA some air sickness pills. As they approach the aircraft, BA starts panicking, and boom, lights out. Hannibal's plan works perfectly. Face is already in New York, posing as a cab driver. Amy's there, helping the team set up as owners of a repair shop. They rig cameras, but they still need to convince the other shop owners to join the plan. Then, the shoeshine kid walks up, hands BA just $3, and BA says that's just enough to cover our fee. The team sets up a perimeter as the gangsters start their collections. They enter Hannibal's shop where he's posing as a blind man. The thugs start trashing the place, laying out their rates, and then the camera feed cuts out. You may recognize some of the cronies here. Scully, played by Robert Tessier, spent most of his career as a villain, including another A-Team episode. However, Albert Popwell, as Digger, this guy appeared in the first 4 Dirty Harry movies, as a different character each time, including Clint Eastwood's partner in Sudden Impact. Back to the episode. Face walks in trying to help, and gets thrown, just like the TVs. BA tails the gangsters back to their base, the Sugar Hill Club. He walks in posing as a taxi driver looking for a fare and immediately starts flirting with Struthers' lady. Bold move, BA. Amy gives the team intel about Charlie Eastside Struthers. Hannibal's got a plan. He's acquired a trash truck. However, when Face delivers it, it's empty. So Hannibal sends BA and Murdock out to collect the dirtiest, smelliest trash they can find. Here's a fun blooper moment. Watch closely when they're trying to get the truck in gear. The director kept the camera rolling, as you can see both Mr. T and Dwight Schultz smirking, holding back laughter as they struggle to get the truck in gear. Face and Hannibal, still in character as the blind shop owner and his nephew, show up at the club, begging Charlie to stop the shakedowns. Charlie brushes them off. Hannibal drops the act, switches character, and warns him, "Come back and pay what you owe us, or else." So they proceed to crash the trash truck through the club and dump everything inside. Struthers realizes it's never going to hire the A-Team and vows revenge. Struthers, played by Yaphet Kotto, racked up nearly 100 credits, including every episode of Homicide in the mid-to-late 90s, and for your James Bond fans, he's Kananga, Mr. Big, from Live and Let Die. And if you remember Clifton James from Pros and Cons in our first video, that's now 2 cast members from that same James Bond film in just the first 7 episodes. Now, cue the montage. The team and the neighbors build the ultimate trap. Everyone joins in. Face tries to tail the gangsters in his cab, but a random fare jumps in, so he just takes the guy along for the ride. Struthers, however, brings reinforcements, and Face beats them to the neighborhood, just barely. Struthers arrives, ready to take the neighborhood apart. Let the battle begin. Molotov cocktails from above, explosions from below. Oh, and Murdock in a barrel. After an explosive showdown, of course, the A-Team comes out on top. As the dust begins to settle and the fires go out. Oh yeah, and Face's fare makes a hasty exit, The team takes Struthers back to his headquarters to get the money owed the neighborhood. In the end, Murdock actually steals Face's girl. But Face has a backup plan. His dispatcher from the taxi company. Always have a plan B. Another explosive episode. This one gets 8.5 vans. We just watched the A-Team find their formula. But can they keep this momentum when everything goes sideways? Because in the next batch, the team crash lands in the middle of nowhere, Lynch makes his on-screen return, and more. So hit that subscribe button so you don't get hit with any late fees. And remember, be kind, rewind.